Hello, friends. I'm Jonathan Pishner with Apex Counseling, and today I'm talking about a weird subject for a counselor, which is why positive thinking is not always a good idea. Because a thing not a lot of people know is there's actually a lot of downsides to positive thinking if you do it wrong. And a lot of people are taught to do it wrong. So let me give you an example of positive thinking that often does not go well, and as part of this, I'll also share with you how to most easily fix it. So, positive thinking that doesn't go well often is some type of really pretty lie. So, let's say that a person is having some negative circumstances in their life and they start trying to tell themselves the story of, oh, well, actually, everything is great. And if you read certain books, that's actually the kind of positive thinking that is espoused by some people. Here's why this doesn't work. You know if you're lying to yourself. And so sometimes you can kind of force yourself to think in that way temporarily, but the trouble with it is it doesn't stick. That type of positive thinking that is based on untruth very rarely will stick around. And so you end up in this endless cycle of trying to tell yourself something positive but untrue, and then it doesn't work. And then you feel bad because it's not working, because you're like, oh, if I could just think positive, then this would work better. And then you try and think positive again. You come up with a new, really pretty lie. And then you're in this endless cycle of doom that just never lets up. So, the downside to positive thinking is positive lies. Here's how you can fix this, because it is true that thoughts cause a lot of our feelings. If your positive thoughts are based in something that's true, they're much more likely to stick around, even if your circumstances are kind of negative. Uh, let's take a very common negative circumstance. Somebody passes away. It's really kind of hard to be happy in that circumstance. But if you were going to try and have positive thoughts and you were going to try and make them true, you might come up with something like, I'm really sad this person's gone, but I'm really glad all of my other friends and family are supporting me right now. That's a good example of a positive thought that for many people is true. Obviously, if it's not true for you, you would not select that one. But what that does is it helps shift into the idea that, oh, well, even though this one thing happened, I can still be happy or grateful or content or satisfied about this other thing. That's a good example of how to use positive thinking much more correctly because it's based in truth. Um, a lot of people have self esteem and difficulties in this way because they will try to tell themselves something that's positive about them, but they don't believe it. Either they have trouble believing it, or it's actually untrue. So, as an example, a lot of people will come up with the idea of nobody likes me. That's obviously untrue. That's very negative, very destructive. But what they try and then tell themselves is, oh, really? I'm sure everybody likes me. Well, I mean, that's nonsense too. That is also deeply untrue. You can't convince yourself of that because all you have to do is meet 100 people. Five of them are going to have a problem with you no matter what, even if you're the nicest person in the world. But if your positive thinking is rooted in some kind of truth, then you might come up with something like, oh, well, there are many people who like me and many people who care about me. For most people, that's really accurate. And it's almost the same as the first one you started with, except this one's actually true because everybody doesn't like you, but it's probably true that many people do. This is a huge problem for a lot of people because they accidentally almost get it right, but it's just untrue enough that the positive thoughts no longer work. So if you try positive thinking and it's not working for you, let me encourage you to try this small fix that I'm suggesting today. Whatever positive thoughts you select, at least work on making them as true as humanly possible. and they're likely to be much more sticky, and they're likely to be able to be retained much more readily and easily. So hopefully this is helpful for somebody out there today. I really appreciate you taking a minute to spend some time with me. I'm Jonathan Pishner with Apex Counseling, and I will see you next time.